All right, everyone. Super. Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? We are here with Sage. I'm gonna start with the usual little Myst Minutes intro, and then I'm gonna let Sage introduce themselves, and then we are going to then we're gonna dive into it. And I'm very very excited about this one. So I hope you all are
Yeah,
excited
me
as well.
too.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So hi everyone. Welcome to Myst Minutes. This is a podcast about talking about the passions and the projects of those in the game industry, whether they're content creators, game developers, games researchers. It's all about bringing all of these things together. And my name is Sierra Myst, of course. I am your lemon lime flavored drag queen from space, and I'm your host. And I'm super excited to be joined by Sage. Sage, would you love to introduce yourself, please, and thank you?
Yes. I'm Sage Coffey. I use they, them pronouns. I am a trans non binary cartoonist primarily. I also worked on Bug Snacks. I've done stuff for The New Yorker, The Washington Post, The Nib, a lot of autobiographical comics, as well as goofy comics about drunk ghost girls with hairy legs.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I'm gonna just start this off by saying if you haven't already gone to check out, because I did my little post about who am I gonna have on the podcast for this month. If you haven't gone to see Sage's personal website and checked out all of their the drunk girl ghost comics, they are so cute and super adorable, and so let's just start there.
Oh my gosh. You know what's funny is I never thought Wine Ghost would like get any attention whatsoever. Like when I was making her, I first drew her because it was this local shop called Challengers
Yeah.
Comic Shop has Women in Non-Binary Month, where basically cartoonists will set up a table, hang out,
Yeah.
and it was a really really dreary Tuesday in the middle of the afternoon, so obviously nobody was coming.
Right.
And I just started doodling, and the original Wine Ghost was a lot more ooh, she was a lot more sun hat, you
Okay.
know, a lot more like Madame.
Okay.
And slowly, the more I started drawing her, the more I realized she was a drunk mess posing to be Madame.
Yeah.
And yeah, I when I first made the pages, I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever made. Nobody's gonna like this except me. And then
Mhm.
lo and behold, people kept asking for more. There's another local thing called Zine Not Dead,
Okay.
which is basically a performance art slash comics reading
Okay.
event.
That's cool.
And right,
Yeah.
I love Chicago. um but I made a giant Big Bird esque puppet,
Okay.
where my legs were her legs. I would operate her like this
Yeah.
basically, and I performed the first comic, and then from there it kind of snowballed.
Oh, I love that. Great. So do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have a whole suit now? Do you have a little wine glass that goes in the hand and
I
everything?
do.
Yeah.
There's a fake wine glass that's filled with resin, so I can just
Yeah, yeah.
fall.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. So how did you kind of get started as an illustrator? Did you go to school for this? Is this just something you've always been doing? Tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
So I have always drawn.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. My partner just brought over the wine glass, so
Oh,
I can
perfect.
smell.
Excellent. I mean, I think we all need one of those.
um, but yeah, I've drawn ever since I was little, and
Yeah.
originally because I didn't realize you could get paid for comics, which is a whole other thing. You kind of can.
Yeah.
But it it was very much originally I thought I was going to be more so in the animation field doing um, character designs or
Okay.
pre-production stuff, kind of like that.
Yeah.
Uh, when I went to school or enrolled in school, which is Savannah College of Art and Design, um, I went to the Atlanta campus, so I went to the smaller one. um, but I realized I could double major, which I don't
Okay.
recommend to anyone
Yeah, no.
if you like a sleep schedule. um, but yeah, I double majored in animation, and the fancy way of saying comics is sequential art.
Oh,
So that's what it says on my degree. I know,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh. I guess that makes
lead
sense though. It's just
sequential
like
artist.
little pieces of art that sequentially come after one another.
Yeah, right. Like, there was in our comics history course, they were like, "What was the first sequential art?" And we were like, "I don't know, like Popeye, you know." Um, and our teacher was like,
Garfield.
"Yeah," our teacher was like, "It was hieroglyphics because it's images in sequence." And I was like, "Get out of here,
Yeah, I don't need all that.
jerk up."
Yeah. Okay, well, that's fantastic. And so did you like, has comics kind of always been like your passion that came out of that, or do you like kind of doing like the story editor kind of like stuff that you did for Bug Snacks or
Ooh, that it's funny because like I feel like there's like several different parts of myself,
yeah.
and different jobs sort of fulfill those different
Yeah.
sections of myself.
Hmm.
With making my own comics, I feel a lot more like story editing is part of the job. It's
Right.
like, you know, your director, your actor, your
Hmm.
your little everything. Whereas story editing for Bugsnax was such a different experience compared to comics.
Yeah.
Um, one, because writing for games is very different in a
Yeah.
very, very interesting way. And, you know, actually, like being able to sit down in a writer's room and work directly with somebody was really
Right.
cool.
Yeah.
Me and Zune, Kevin Zune, who's the writer, um, were friends like before I got the job, so we already had like a pretty good rapport. So the
Yeah.
writers' room was mostly just us like scream talking and laughing at each other.
Okay, perfect. And maybe that some of that screaming got into Bug Snacks itself.
Oh, absolutely. Like there's a Bethica line I fought so hard for. I
Okay.
fought for this line,
Ooh.
which was 10 out of 10 perf dirt. And they were like, that doesn't make any sense. And I was like, no, this is it.
Yeah.
People will love it. I will love it. It doesn't matter if other people won't love it. It's
Yeah.
for me. This
It's
is
just
my
for you.
line.
Yeah, so kind of like, I guess, was this your first game that you've ever worked on, or have you worked on games before?
I worked on a very, very terrible game when I was 16.
Okay.
It was like one of those, you know, back in early internet days. Not super early, but like pretty early, you know,
Mhm.
when people would just talk to each other on DeviantArt.
Yes,
Um, and
I recall that.
yeah, somebody reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you want to make like track art for my dance game?" And I was like, "Sure." I like
Ooh.
drawing and have a lot of free time.
Because you were 16, like.
Yeah, like what am I gonna do in rural North Carolina?
Yeah.
Have chickens? No,
Yeah.
there weren't even chickens. That's how rural it was.
Oh. Well.
But yeah, so I worked on that. It was called Mantis Shuffle, and to my knowledge, it never got finished.
Very common for games,
Um,
actually.
oh, I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But like, it's the same with comics, honestly, where there's like 6 pages are done, and
Yeah.
then that's it. You
Yeah.
know, it's shelved. It's done. I'm done with it. Um, but yeah, I also worked on Oxoxo, which
Okay.
is a game Margaret Dax is doing.
Yeah.
She
I think I've heard of
is
that.
an incredible just person.
Okay. That's
She's so
great.
fun to be around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I did art for that as well, character designs, and working alongside with her with the dialogue for those characters.
Yeah. So you would probably say you're not really like a games person, more so you're a comics person, you're an illustrator, you're not really in games, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I got my fingers in all the pies.
Yeah, exactly, which is, that's kind of how you have to do it these days.
Yeah, for real. Like I don't think I've met a games person outside of like working within a company, like a founded company and stuff like that, that
Yeah.
doesn't also do something else,
Right,
whether that
right.
be streaming or art or, you know,
Yeah.
the millions of other things that are possible.
Yeah, literally everything. And so kind of how did you you obviously you've always liked to draw and then you went to school for these sorts of things, and then how did you turn that kind of into your work, right? What was that kind of journey like for you? Are you still there?
Oh, I am. You froze for a
Okay.
second. Oh
Did you hear
no.
my
Can you hear
question?
me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear your question. I'm
That's okay. So you've obviously always liked to draw, and then you went to school for it. How did you turn that into like your work, right? Like how did you do the thing, right, that everyone wants to do?
I did the thing that you're not supposed to do, which I did a bunch of free work first.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like which especially now with how many platforms there are and different ways to monetize your art. Like, I
Yeah.
do not recommend that whatsoever.
Hmm.
Another big part of it was I would just work with people in my class or
Okay.
even people outside my class who I was just friends with.
Yeah. So
Um,
like collaboration projects and that kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I storyboarded a music video for Big Sean that never got released, which felt like the coolest thing to me at the time.
Yeah.
Um, because I got to listen to a track early too. What they don't
Ooh.
tell you when they give you tracks is you get like a stamp on it, so you can't steal it. So I think it was every 5 seconds of this 10-minute song was like property of Def Jam Entertainment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was like a lot of stuff like that where it would be just me storyboarding like somebody's music video or
Yeah.
volunteering to work on like backgrounds for their short film for animation
Cool.
class. um yeah, I really, really never expected my career to take the turn that it did
Yeah.
into autobiographical, political comics on newspaper websites of all things.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about like the big gigs, right? And like is this something that you applied for? Is this something that kind of like fell into your lap? Did someone notice your work? What did that look like for you?
For me, it was a lot of pitching.
Okay.
My email to this day is more rejection than anything else.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I'm fine with
Yeah. Well, that's good.
it.
That's important.
Yeah, like it's very much like, okay, I sent out like this one pitch to this publisher. I'll wait to, see what they say because I don't want to
Yeah.
get into a situation where two publishers
Yeah.
say yes to the same project, especially in a sort of newspaper online type
Mhm.
of circle.
Right.
Because you do get into like copyright issues with
Right.
that.
Right.
Um, so I'd pitch one at a time. If a pitch didn't roll somewhere, then I'd be like, okay, well, next place, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
I'm very much like hustle to make it work.
Nice.
Even when I was in school, because I grew up very, very poor, I was supporting my mom. So I had two part-time jobs, grocery stock person,
Yeah.
and I also taught English as a second language, which
Okay.
was a really, really cool,
Yeah.
fun experience.
That's
Um,
fantastic. Yeah. So you're used to the creative hustle, basically. You're all set there.
but yeah, honestly, I feel like I'm happiest when I'm drawing,
Okay.
which I know isn't the case for a lot of people. Um, and there are moments where I'm like, oh, I hate this, or I need to stop drawing for like a few days and like kind of let my battery recharge.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I honestly couldn't imagine not drawing. I think my backup was teacher.
Drawing teacher?
Hopefully.
Yeah, if you were lucky.
Yeah. If they'd have me.
All right, so let's talk about bug snacks. Let's talk about bug
Yes.
snacks. Yeah. What huh? Like what's going on there? Did
Bug snacks.
Yeah, so how did that happen? What did that look like? Were the grumpuses always that shape?
They were always little beans.
Okay, okay.
They were always bean shaped.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like so much of Bug Snacks is just from Zune and the rest of the team's brain. I
Yeah.
kind of came in the middle of production,
Okay.
being like, okay, you have all these ingredients, now let's put them in the pot and cook them.
Yeah.
um, yeah, because everyone's character design was already finished by the time I got there.
Okay, cool.
It was much more me coming in and like brushing up the edges,
Yeah.
and like picking up the script, making it like just zhuzhing.
Yeah.
That was my job. I was professional zhuzher.
I mean, sometimes that's necessary, and that's great.
Yeah, and like it was such an interesting process because a lot of the voice cast wasn't picked at that point.
Okay.
There were certain character arcs that weren't finished at that point.
Okay.
And the ending completely changed, which was something
Ooh.
totally awesome to be
Yeah.
a part of. I also got to put a lot of myself into specific characters, like Egabel's diaries, a
Yeah.
lot about like anxiety and depression. That was very much me and Zune sitting in a room getting emotional together
Yeah.
over the words that were written.
Yeah.
Because so much of it was us expressing our experiences.
Yeah.
Like Snurpy and Chandler's relationship, like I've been there.
Yeah.
Straight up. I was like, oh, we're not dating, we're just seeing each other for like a year.
Right. It's just like a friends with benefits thing, like.
Yeah.
And so like the game is very queer, right? Which is like a very fantastic thing to experience, and something when I went into it was not expecting. But obviously one of those things where it was like, oh, right off the bat, lesbians. Oh,
Yes.
Now there's a gay couple. Oh, there's like a non-binary character. Like that's how some of like the people in my community were reading all of these different things. It was just so like refreshing, right?
Yeah. I play a lot of indie games in my free time, and so much of the time they're like, oh, we have the gay character, we're covered. You know, like, oh, we have one trans character, we're covered. You know, so much, and that isn't reflective, at least in my experience, of the queer community at all.
No, exactly.
We all hang out.
Yeah. Where it's kind of a group thing.
Yeah, like there is no one gay friend. Like,
yes.
it's just not the thing.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, how great was it to work on a project like that? And obviously you said that you got to put like yourself into it. But you know, you got to put yourself into it, and you got to kind of build those characters and those relationships and those arcs out, which is fantastic. I mean, are you hoping that this is kind of like a direction that we can see for representation in games more? Something that
absolutely.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Honestly, like it, you know, I very much hate like a gold star representation where it's very much like, oh, we put in this character to represent this whole community, even though that's not reflective of any community, because putting a whole community into one character, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like it's just there are so many queer people in the world. It's reflective of the world.
Yeah.
Like, and I really, really hope that devs see that and don't, you know, see that they need to hold themselves back from representing more queerness and like shades of queerness. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then like when I look at Bugsnax, I look at a game that does like representation in the best way possible, in the sense that it really isn't the tokenization of the character, or like you're saying, like the gold star, kind of like the one character. It's really like they're just there existing and like living their life, their little grumpus life. And there's no like big deal or like big moment made out of it. And I'd love to hear about like how that kind of shook out for you from like a story editor perspective.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. It was something we talked about because that's what normalization is.
Yeah.
Normalization is people existing without their existence being put on a platform of like, oh, look, oh my god.
Yeah.
You know, there are some people within the fandom that misgender Floofty, which bothers me, of course. And it's a double-edged sword in that way, because we don't sit the player down and we're not like, okay, Lufty is a non-binary person. Here's
Yeah.
what a non-binary person is.
Yeah.
Because non-binary people just exist in the world and should be able to just introduce themselves with their pronouns and not be berated with questions about any parts of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Internal or external. Like, yeah, so for me, that was really important. And also, that's how queerness was introduced to me as a child.
Mhm.
My uncle is gay. My mom had a bunch of gay and bi friends. Like, and, you know, queerness for me, I came out in like middle school. I asked a girl out,
Mhm.
and that was not okay. Apparently. And I had no idea. I
Yeah.
was like, I thought everybody was doing this. Are we not?
Yeah.
And like snuck myself back in the closet until like high school. High school came out again,
Right.
like officially to my mom.
Yeah.
And my mom was like,
Now, was
she,
that the we know stare or
yeah,
okay?
that was like she verbatim said, "You've been gay since the day you were born. I don't know what you're talking about."
Well, I love that.
Very, very supportive mom.
Fantastic.
On that front. Gender, we're still working on with her. She's getting there.
Mhm.
She's a little slow on the uptake.
Yeah.
She'll get there.
Well, that's good to hear. I would love to hear, speaking of like the uptake and getting there, working in any industry as a non-binary person. Obviously you're working in a creative field, an artistic field, and there's obviously some freedom there. You live in Chicago, like, blessed.
Yes.
But what has been your experience? And obviously entering the game industry, are there, could you see yourself continuing to work in the game industry? Do you want to? Knowing especially its troubled history, past, present, future.
Yes, I very much so want to continue working in the games industry. I feel like it's important that like all queer people be present in the industry because that's really the only way that we'll have our stories reflected accurately.
Yeah.
It's, you know, my experience in game spaces, indie game spaces is so welcoming.
Yeah.
Like so overwhelming, welcoming, and kind. And mainstream game spaces, in my experience, that hasn't been the case.
Yeah.
I remember my first GDC, I had Illustrator on my badge. This was I had done the story editing work on Bugsnax at that point, but Bugsnax hadn't been announced yet.
Right.
So I just had Illustrator on my badge. I was walking around with some of the team members, and people would flat out ignore me, like when I introduced myself.
Yeah.
And that, like, I've never had that happen before in comics, so I just
Right.
didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
oh, did I do something wrong?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there an etiquette I'm missing? But the more it continued happening, the more I realized, like, oh, it's because I don't have like a company or like a symbol of clout, really, for these other people. And I feel like that elitism is very prevalent and needs to be addressed because, you know, if there's no benefit of gatekeeping.
Yeah.
Anybody. Like there's no benefit. I just can't imagine the amount of like beautiful and fantastic games we've missed out on because of people having to go through experiences like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it really depends on the space.
Yeah, of course.
I do have a desk at the Indie City Co-op, which is an awesome co-op, a games co-op.
Yeah.
And everybody, even though I'm sitting there with like ink and paper, people will come over and like be like, "Hey, here's the game I'm working on. What are you working on?"
Oh, that's cool. I love that.
Right? I love that too. Like so like I'd love to see so much more collaborations between industries because games is connected to film. Games is connected to animation, like
absolutely.
and story. Like there's no reason that these industries need to exist separately of each other. Yeah, sorry. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir.
No, yeah, yeah, but like I mean, we're both here to preach to the choir.
um,
That's fantastic. And then kind of, I guess, thinking about like moving forward. You say you're interested in continuing in games, and you have so much great comics work. What are where are you going? Where are you going?
I am working on more bug snacks content.
Mm-hmm.
Not to confirm anything.
Uh-huh. It's just happening somewhere.
It's just happening in the background.
Uh-huh. Ooh,
Going on
interesting.
in the midst of what's going on.
Uh-huh.
um, and continuing to work with Margaret Dax on OxOxO,
Mhm.
which is so fun to play. It's a mobile game. I believe a website is up already for it. Um, and I'm working on a lot of personal projects, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I'm making a puppet with my partner for my friend Shannon Wright, um, who is a graphic novelist. She primarily works on like middle grade stuff.
Yeah.
She came out with a book called Twins, which is really, really cute and fun.
Aw.
I'm working on a little puppet for her.
Okay.
Yeah. And like a lot of stuff, unfortunately, I can't talk about. I
No, of
wish I
course.
could.
Yeah.
Every single time I do an interview, I'm like, I want to tell you all the things.
Yes.
Here are all my secrets.
Let me just ruin everything.
Yeah.
Well
I
then
can say
oh yeah.
I have some books in the future.
Okay. Fun. I love that. Well, I
And
would
more wine
also
ghosts.
ooh, more wine ghosts. I would love to hear, like, I'm always interested in autobiographical work, just like in general, because I think that's such like interesting, like creative work. Um, how does it make you feel to be working on like autobiographical work, and especially to like, are you just kind of like putting it out there to like get it out of your system kind of thing, or is there a complication around like monetizing sometimes like autobiographical work? Like, how do you feel like in that area?
That's such an interesting topic because it's one I've thought about a lot actually. Like, oh, am I monetizing my trauma? Um and yeah, at first, how I first started doing autobio work was it was very much a diary, like a
Mhm.
public diary.
Right.
Which, you know, if you don't set certain boundaries with yourself can be emotionally dangerous.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I would just literally every day draw a one-page comic, scan it, put it out. Um, and was definitely like doing it for myself, processing everything I was going through. The more my friends and my romantic situation at that time got roped into the
Right.
narrative, the more I realized it wasn't healthy for me,
Right.
or the people around me, really.
Yeah.
Um, I would always ask permission. I would be like, "Hey, can I draw you in this comic?" And nine out of 10 times they'd say yes.
Yeah.
But of course, there's always like that vague tweet, like that
Right.
vague tweet equivalent of a comic. Um, and I took a break from them for a while. I saw the Nib was taking pitches, which the Nib is an online magazine full of political comics. Charlottesville had just happened, and somebody I went to high school with attended.
Okay.
And this person had bullied me and my girlfriend in high school by drawing swastikas on things. So and like his excuse was, "Oh, it's just a joke. Like it's just funny to get a rise out of them."
Yeah.
And it's like,
Sure.
okay, yeah, exactly.
Anyways.
um, and I thought that that was an important experience to share. Not only did it kind of help me process it, but for other people who like teachers who see children acting like that,
Mhm.
like to kind of address that behavior early. For people who were bullied in that same way, who you know, hopefully it would help them feel less alone.
Yeah.
Um, it very much became something that I was able to like control more than doing dailies. And I think that gives me more of like an emotional shield of what I'm presenting. Um, and that helps a lot because a lot of what I do is very much like me processing either what I have been through
Yeah.
or something I found or something I experienced.
Right.
I did a comic on like the mortality settings on Facebook, which like sent me down a whole spiral.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
what's yeah, like what sort of tech?
I mean, there could be books on Facebook settings
Yeah.
specifically done in a comic form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's very much for myself as much as it is, getting paid for me is a thank goodness because I'd want to
Yeah.
do this anyway.
Right. Well, that's good. So how can people support you right now, right? Especially during a panorama that we're all in right now. Like,
um
what's the best way?
Yeah, so Patreon is definitely a big, big helper. That actually helps me pay for Photoshop, which I need to work.
Perfect.
um, yeah, Patreon, Kofi, if you want to do like a one-time thing. Um, IDs of Wanghost and all my just individual like one-off comics.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, and like I hand make the minis, I risograph them, which is a very
Ooh.
fun process. It's like a copier plus screen printing put together.
Ooh, that's fun. That's a cool
It's really
combo.
interesting.
Yeah.
So you can only like print at a time.
Okay.
And because the ink is so dense, it's also soy based. It like pops off the page like really, really brightly.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting process.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, and I've seen like Risso take off even in game spaces. Like there's like, oh, our special Rissograph poster on Kickstarters and stuff, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. Like,
I
uh-huh.
like that. But yeah, I have this Store Envy is where I sell those, and everything is just my name.
Yeah.
Not to brag. If you Google Sage Coffey, Coffey,
Mhm.
that'll come up with all my links.
Excellent. I love that. And so, I mean, I always love to hear how people like use Patreon. And like, and also like, how do you handle like managing a Patreon?
I feel so bad because I don't do anything on my Patreon.
Great.
Like like every now and then I'll be like, oh yeah, you should post on Patreon. And I'll like post something that's like usually a work in progress or
Yeah.
like something I'm waiting on edits for.
Mhm.
And then that's it. Like I used to try to be like way more active, and slowly I realized
Mhm.
like, oh, my audience is like 90% of the people who just want to make sure I can pay bills.
Oh, well, that's lovely.
um yeah, I'm very, very grateful to like have friends.
Mhm.
I think
It's
that's the
it's that
majority of my
it's that joke
patrons.
of like it's just queer people passing around the same $5 everywhere, right?
Literally that.
Yeah.
Literally that.
Yeah.
Because like
That's all of queer
like
Twitch. Like
yeah, like literally my Patreon, like if you look through who I support, it's
yeah.
like the same people.
Who are supporting you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that
It's like,
though.
oh, I love Amara's comics. I'm gonna give them $1.
And it's like, are we losing money here? Like by paying the like Patreon fees? Like, should I just give you $1? Yeah, let's not talk about it.
I'll put on like the stamp, like mail you $1.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's fantastic. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Is there anything else you'd love to drop or like?
Ooh, I Am Not a Wolf is a choose your own adventure um like novel that I did illustrations for.
Yeah.
And it's basically like you are like physically you look exactly like a feral wolf.
Okay.
Um and you tell others like I am a human graphic designer.
Okay.
That is who I am. And you're kind of navigating human spaces as a wolf.
Okay.
It's very
Do you stand up or is this like a
yeah, you
four-legged?
like
Okay.
stand up on your hind legs like a dog. One, extremely fun to draw.
Yeah.
And I also learned wolves are so big,
Yes.
like they're bigger than people, and I was like,
Yes.
excuse me, this animal is too large. um but it's very much like about, navigating spaces you feel like you don't fit in, and
Yeah.
it's it's very much about imposter syndrome, and I don't know, it's just so good. Dan
Yeah.
Sheehan, who's the writer, I Am Not a Wolf is also based on a Twitter account.
Great.
um and Dan Sheehan, who's the comedian behind it, who was Chicago local when we first met, did such an amazing job. It is so funny and like heartbreaking at moments, and yeah, it's great.
Love that. And then I said that we weren't going to take questions from chat because we don't do that here, but I will take this question because it's very good. What is your dream project?
Oh,
And how is it
I
already Bug Snacks?
oh, looks like so good. I keep pitching a Wine Ghost video game
Okay.
because
Okay.
I thought that would be so fun if like you are like a reverse of like you are a human looking to be possessed by a demon.
Okay.
Um, I always thought that would be fun. Trying to find somebody to like take the reins for a day.
Yeah.
Um, I would love, 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 love to have an animated series one day. I
Yeah.
know that's like a huge dream of so many people's.
Hmm.
I my like back in college, they used to ask us this all the time as like our introduction, which is like
Yeah.
such a lot of pressure for just an introduction in the
Yeah.
class. It's like, okay, what's your sign? Oh, you're a Leo. What's your dream?
What's your dream?
What's your social?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like my whenever I was asked that question, I would always say successful graphic novel that got turned into an animated series that
Nice.
I would be able to work on both.
Yeah.
And that remains true to this day.
Oh, I love
I
that.
very much want to do the same thing that we did on Bug Snacks, where like we do hire a bunch of fantastic trans actors and queer actors, and like do get to hire more queer artists
Hmm.
and just make something beautiful and unique and weird and fun.
Yeah.
Like that's, I think, the whole set of like just me as a person is like fun, gross, and a little horny.
Yeah. Oh,
Like
I didn't even ask about the Bug Snacks drawings. Oh my god. Why are they so horny?
just feel like Bug Snacks is a little horny. I just feel like
Cuz like
I used to go around. Okay, this is a fun like studio story.
okay.
So while we were the young course's office is extremely small.
Yeah.
It's 2 rooms.
Yeah.
One's the writer's room. One is everybody has desks and they're working around
Yeah.
each other, right? Me and Zune would like go over the script, and if I got caught up on something, I'd like take it to the crowd, and we had like this diagram of like fucks, fucky, does not fucks,
Yeah.
is not fucky. And every time I would go out and I would be like, y'all, Wambus is fucky. I'm sorry, Wambus is fucky. And like we'd like take a poll essentially.
Okay, sure. And then like it would all get put up on the graph.
Yes. There was no physical graph,
Yeah.
a mental graph. There are also like drawings that I did. There's a white ball board.
Okay.
And there would be drawings that I can't post publicly.
Yeah.
Of just like tits out Beffica, hanging out, smoking a joint, like
This
which,
is the creative process, everyone.
yes. It was one of the Reddit questions we got during the AMA was like, where's the bong? And I said, excuse me, it's a vase.
I love that.
Flower in it.
Yeah, put a flower in it.
Yeah, I feel like Bug Snacks as a property is very just horny on accident. There were a lot of like, do you know Arrested Development?
Yes, yes.
there are a lot of like Tobias moments where we had to like go back and be like, all right, we gotta read this one out loud. Originally, oh my gosh, they're the little kernel bugs.
Okay.
Originally, so just a little background on the team. 90% of the team is straight and cis.
Uh-huh.
Um, and
Just say game dev.
originally they were called pop. Yeah, originally
Love you,
they were
young
called
horses.
poppers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, originally those bug snacks
Sure.
were called poppers, and I came in and I was like, y'all cannot.
Y'all
This
can't
is
do
a
that.
children's game.
I have been like driving. So there's a in Quebec. There's like a brand of like it's like a White Claw basically. But like driving down the highway, there was like a billboard for it. And they're called poppers here because it's like French Canadian and they don't understand. And so I'm like driving down the highway, like like camera phone trying to take a picture. And it's like y'all need to Google something before you like put a name on it.
It's like anytime, like if I'm ever on a road trip and I see a Transamerica, like a Transamerica truck, I'm like,
Yeah. You're
that's
like
me.
Perfect.
But
Okay, well
yeah,
now I have the confirmation that it was intentionally horny, and I didn't pervert it; it was perverted already.
it's so weird because like it's like subconsciously horny. I'd say I wouldn't say intentionally. It's like the recesses of our mind are horny, and so it was horny.
Well, that was
Yes. It was
yes.
horny on main on accident.
Yes. Well, because that was the thing is that I was like looking at these little like popsicle bug snacks, and they were they're just like running around.
Oh,
And
the big popsicle.
yeah, and then they split, and you're like, oh, it's a bunch of tiny ones, and then you look at the little sketch in the book, and it's like, does it look like that one is like on top of the other one? Like, like okay.
Yeah, the bug snacks were fun to draw.
Yeah, I'm glad that they were. Okay, actually, this is actually. What's your favorite bug snack?
Oh, I like Queebles.
Oh,
They're so cute.
yeah,
The kiwi ones.
yeah, with the big spoon noses. Yeah.
They were originally called Queewees, which I loved. I was like, can they please be Queewees? Like, I don't know at what process they got changed to
Yeah.
Queebles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love those. Because the naming meetings were all like big meetings with the whole team.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of got to name bug snacks, so my claim to fame is the peel bug.
That's
Like
your
the
claim to
little-
fame.
Yeah, the orange one.
No, I'm obsessed with the peel bugs and how they have different flavors of them. So thank you for that.
Yeah, peel bug. Same thing with areas. My claim to fame for the areas is Garden and Grove.
Ooh.
How original.
However, yeah. We love a little bit of alliteration.
But yeah, bug snacks so fun to work on.
Fantastic.
And like the team is so great.
I love that. And as you indiscreetly talked about, there's things being worked on. What are those things we don't know?
Yeah,
We can never know.
Yeah,
That's okay.
Unfortunately,
All
you'll
I'm-
hear about it.
All
That's
I'm gonna
us.
say
You'll
is
hear
that
about
if you ever need like a big blue woman to, I don't know, do something, I can be a big blue woman doing something.
it. That'll always be in the back of my mind.
Perfect, fantastic. Well, remember when you get your Netflix animated special.
Gosh, Sierra, you're so good.
Oh, well, Sage, you're so good as well. Well, thank you so much. I think that's a very positive note to end on. Thank you so much for joining me, Sage. I really, really appreciate it. And I know for a fact that everyone else appreciates it. Everyone loves bug snacks. I love bug snacks. It's perfect. So thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. I would love it if you did a little outro for yourself, told people where they can find your things and support you, because that's what this is all about. So go for it. Go for it.
So you can find me at Sage Coffey, SAGECOFFEY, on Twitter, on Instagram. Don't find me on Facebook because that's personal. You can support my stuff on Patreon, patreon.com/sagecoffee. I have a threadless shop that has a bunch of Final Fantasy and Frasier jokes that are really stupid.
Oh my goodness.
That's on Threadless, sagecoffee.threadless.com, and then Store Envy for handmade goods. I have a little wine ghost figurine that glows in the dark on there.
I'm about to spend so much money.
Just give me your address. I'll send it. Don't spend money on me.
I'll spend money on you.
So the Store Envy, and then yeah, that's it.
Super, great. Well, thank you again so much for everyone that's watching and listening in the future, maybe. This has been another episode of Myst Minutes, and it's been all about the passions and projects of Sage today. So thank you all so much for listening, and we will catch you. We'll catch you next time. All right, bye everyone.